Hello and welcome back to the Stationary Dev. Today we have a ink video, and I'll go ahead and let you know that we're going to be covering my favorite fountain pen ink in every color. So just some heads up, these are inks that I've actually used and own. I own all of these, so it's not inks that I've just seen that I think I like. I've actually used these and own these. In every color, and it's just one ink of every color category that I have selected. So just one ink. It was hard in a couple of them, but I decided to just do one ink. So without further ado, the tools of the trade is a piece of Tomoe River paper. This is just 52 GSM old stock Tomoe River paper. And let me see, I guess I'll just do it with a pen, a non-fountain pen. And these are going to be favorite ink of every color. All right, and our first, I'll go ahead and just jump right into it because we got a lot of inks to swatch. Each one of these, I'll swatch them and label them, and if I have it inked in a pen, which I have a couple of them inked in pens, then I'll go ahead and give a little writing sample of those couple ones that I do have inked. But the first color category is black, and my ink choice for my favorite black ink, and this one was kind of difficult, but my most consistent black is Sailor. This one just happens to say Sailor Jentle Black, but nowadays it's just in their normal Sailor bottles, and it's just called Sailor Black. It's their base black ink. For me, I like this one, this black ink, because it's just a good all-arounder. It's wet. It works in every fountain pen that I've used it in. It is dark enough. It's dark, but it's not so dark or anything that it's has a problem with smearing or anything like that. It's just a solid base black ink. I think everybody needs a good solid base black ink, because while the colors are fun, it's good to come back to just regular old black every once in a while. So each one of these, I'll do a swatch with a Q-tip on this Tomoe River paper, so we can get a little sense of the color that we're talking about. Just give it a little swatch so you can see maybe more saturated and less saturated. And Sailor Black, and I'll go ahead and I'll label it, I guess, below, just so we can know what ink it is. So this is Sailor Black. Like I said, just a good all-arounder. That's what I want from my black inks. I want it to be wet. I want it to work in every pen. I want it to be dark enough for me. I don't want it to be smeary or troublesome or anything like that. So this does it for me. Next color category we have is going to be gray. And for my gray ink, I have chosen, for my favorite gray ink, an Iroshizuku. And so my favorite gray ink is this right here, Iroshizuku Fuyu-Syogun. This is the one that I use the most. It's a lovely sort of bluish gray. It's got some, it's supposed to be like a wintry gray, so it gives me that, like a cloudy, overcast, wintry day. This is a good ink for that. And let me do a quick swatch here. Fuyu-Syogun. So you can sort of see it. It has some good shading, I think. No sheen or anything fancy. Just a good color, good calming color for me, I think. So there we are, Iroshizuku Fuyu-Syogun. And I've used it. It's kind of got like a pencil-y kind of quality I've found when I use it. But another one that's just super reliable, wet, works in every pen I've used it in. And it's outstanding. And I do have this one inked, so I can actually write with it. This is Iroshizuku. Fuyu-Syogun. All right. Actually, I'll just do a little scribble, just so you can see that. There you have it. Next color category is going to be brown inks. And this one is a hard one for me because I love brown inks. It's my favorite color of ink to use. So it's hard for me to choose just one, but if you've been watching the channel for a while now, you will know I do have a favorite. One of my favorite inks of all time is Diamine Tobacco Sunburst. This is from their Gibson guitar collab collection thing. They have like 5 inks or so in there. And pick this up and it's a stunner, and you'll see why if you haven't seen it before. It has lovely shading. It goes from, you know, one color to a different color with shading and drying and everything. See, it can be sort of like a dark woody brown, and then it just shades amazingly into like a nice yellow. There's some green in it too. Kind of similar to something like KWZ Honey, if you know that ink, but very similar. It is a heavy shader and looks gorgeous in anything I use it in. Journals, notes, letters, it looks amazing. My favorite brown ink, at least so far. So all of these are just my favorites that I've used so far, and it's currently just the beginning of February in 2023, so this may change with time. I do not have this one inked in a pen for once, but Diamine Tobacco Sunburst. All right, and next color category, we are moving right along into yellow. Now, yellow is an interesting one. I don't have like a pure yellow ink because I just don't find it very practical or that I'd ever use like a pure yellow ink. But what I do have is close enough for me, and it is a Herbin ink, and it is Ambre de Birmanie. And it is a lovely, I think it's more goldish, or as the title says, amber color, but it's close enough to yellow to scratch that sort of itch for me. So these are the little pen rest bottles for the Herbin, and they're really short too, so it's kind of hard to fill a pen with them, but doesn't matter. It's a good ink. When I've used it, I need to ink it up again because it's been a while since I've used it, and I did really like it, you know, the times that I have used it. But as you can see, it's kind of got a yellowy tint to it, especially compared to the brown right above it. You'll see that it goes much more yellow. Once again, another really good shader as well. So if you like into shading inks, this one's a pretty good shader. Do a drop on there, maybe it helps see that. All right. And I need to get some more Herbin inks. I only have a couple, but I like all of them. And I think they have some interesting colors and everything, so I do need to get some more Herbins. So we have Herbin, Ambre de Birmanie. All right, next color category, we're moving right along into orange, and this one's been a difficult one for me. Most of the oranges I have are kind of like the rusty oranges. One that I've used a lot is Monteverde Copper Noir, which probably would be my pick if I hadn't tried this sample of KWZ Grapefruit. Because when I want to write an orange ink, like a strictly orange ink, I need something to scratch that ink, and I haven't really had anything yet. But this has come the closest to sort of satisfying that for me. So I got this sample from Van Ness, as you can see, KWZ Grapefruit. It was a 4 milliliter sample, and I've got about a milliliter left. More than that, almost 2 milliliters left of this sample. So I'm going to try a couple others before I decide on a bottle of orange ink. One that I really want to try is Dominant Industry Earl Grey Tea. That one looks right down my alley. I'm a big tea drinker as well, so I just like that name too. But for a dark or a vibrant but readable orange, this one has been amazing so far. It doesn't really have much shading. It doesn't have any sheen or anything. It's just sort of like a flat orange, but like I said, it's vibrant. It gives me that vibrancy, that sort of life off of the page that I'm looking for in an orange ink. It smells amazing because it's KWZ. It's fun to use, and it's readable. And I actually have it inked in the Salami 2000, which might be out of ink. You'll see from that ink window, there's probably not a lot left in there, but let's see if there's enough to write. Oh, we don't want the pen name. This KWZ Grapefruit. Really good ink. Do scribble, hatches, figure eights. And you can just see, even though it's bright, even though it's lively, pops off the page, it's still easily readable, I think, for most people. So there we have it. Going right along in the colors, we're moving on to red. And this one was kind of an easy pick for me. I don't have a whole lot of red inks. In fact, I don't have a lot of red inks. I can just end it there. But my favorite red ink that I use if I want to use a red ink is always Diamine Oxblood. I have this little 30 milliliter sample of it. I've used a good chunk of the bottle. Yeah, this is just one of my favorite inks ever anyways to use, but definitely is my favorite red ink as well. So whenever I use this up, more than likely I'll be getting the big bottle of Oxblood, because I don't think I'd ever want to not have this ink in my collection, or this ink available to me. It's just that good, where I'd always want to have a bottle on hand. I like it better than Writer's Blood, if you're curious. For me, I prefer the sort of like straight red, leaning maybe a little bit brown tones of the Oxblood, as opposed to the Writer Blood, which I think leans like pink or magenta. The Oxblood, I just like this color a lot better. I'm not really in the pinky magenta-y camp, but I could be swayed. But there we go for red. Oxblood, once again, this ink is a joy to use in any pen. It's super wet, super smooth. Once again, not a whole lot of shading or anything on this one. Just a really dependable ink. If you can use colored ink in your office, this is a really usable office ink or school ink or whatever. Like, this is just a good all-arounder. It's good enough for a journal or for a letter, and it's also just good enough to use in everyday use. So Diamine Oxblood is my red pick. That one was pretty easy just because I don't have a whole lot of reds. But moving on to purple, and this one was hard too, because as much as I like browns and blues, I also really like purple inks. Those are my three favorite fountain pen ink colors to write in, is brown, blue, and purple. So I had a lot of purples to choose from. But the one that I picked is one I don't see used enough, I don't think, and that is Diamine Pansy. This was part of their sort of flower set collection that they came out with, which comes in like a set of a bunch of inks, but you can actually order the individual little 30 ml bottles by themselves. And I got this Pansy as sort of it's the closest ink I've found to, like, if you want Lamy Dark Lilac, this is the closest ink I think that you can buy to that, or one of the closest inks you can buy to that. It's a sheener. It's got some good sheen in it. It's a sort of, I think it's a red leaning purple. You can be the judge when I do the swatch here. But it is fantastic. Super wet, super saturated. Like I said, it's a sheener when it goes down thick. I might do another dip. There we go. And I don't know if it's scented or if it's just got a lot of like a certain kind of pigment in it. This series might be scented because this ink definitely kind of smells like flowers. I don't know if that's intentional or if I'm just kind of crazy in that regard. Basically, though, my purples came down between this one, Mont Blanc Lavender Purple, which is, once again, one of my tops, but it's no longer available. Like, you can't buy it anymore, but it's still one of my favorite purples. And then Ferris Wheel Press Magical Metropolis is another sheening purple that's just amazing. But this one wins my purple. And once again, I need to ink that one up because I haven't inked a good purple in a while. So we have Diamine Pansy. And I think I think that's one collection that doesn't get enough praise is their flower collection, because there's some really great inks in that series. All right, on to another big one is blue. Blue for me, once again, was kind of hard. I had to think about it a little bit, but not really, because I do have a standout that I always go back to. Another Iroshizuku, and it's Iroshizuku Asa-Gao. And it's just a great ink. It's solid, it's vibrant. If you want like something that's kind of like Noodler's Bay State Blue, but not gonna give you much trouble, you don't have to worry about putting in a pen or staining or any of that. You want an easy to take care of ink, but has that pop, that vibrancy. Asa-Gao scratches that itch for me. It is solid. One of my favorite inks. I've used it in a lot of pens. I keep coming back to it. It'd be one of those, I mean, it's in probably my top 3 inks ever. Is Asa-Gao. So tells you how much I like it. It's one of those desert island inks for me. But you just see how beautiful that is. It's got a little bit of, it doesn't have really much any shading or anything. It's just a vibrant blue, but it does have a little bit of sheen around the edges, depending on the paper and the pen and all that as well. But just dependable, reliable. You can't go wrong with the Iroshizuku anyway. But that's a stunner for me. If you haven't tried it and you're looking for a good blue, try it out. And I do have this one inked as well. This Graph von Faber-Castell. We have Pilot, Iroshizuku, Asa-Gao, and we'll do a Scribo, Hatches, and a little writing sample there for you so you can see how that one is. But yeah, I have this one inked, in rotation quite often just because it's a standard for me. All right, then we start getting into some other inks, we got some green coming up. And then once again, green is one of those that I need some more green inks. I don't have a whole lot of green inks. So this one was kind of easy for me. For my green ink, I don't have a whole lot of green inks, but once again, made the choice a little bit easier for me. And it's another sort of standard, reliable one for me. And it's going to be Sailor, Jentle, Epinard. Now you can't get this exact sort of, I don't know, I guess package anymore, but you can get the same formula of ink, which is it's now called Tokawamatsu. But it's the same ink, so it's the same sort of shade, same sheen, and yeah, if I want to have that green feeling, this is sort of the one that I kind of default towards. It's Sailor, Jentle, Epinard. It's a dark green, once again usable, I think, in a lot of situations. Wet, as all the Jentle inks are. And just a joy to use whenever I do pop it into a pen. Okay, let's get a little swatch going. And you can see just a nice sort of forest green. The name actually means spinach. So it's just kind of dark green color there. Very saturated. You'll probably see a little bit of sheen come through there. Sailor Jentle Epinard. Let me go ahead and label it real quick. We're running out of room, but I think we'll be okay. Sailor Jentle Epinard. All right, blue black. Actually, I might start running out of ink, so I might just do like one swatch as we get toward the bottom here. But blue black category, I categorize it as its own color just because I don't think it'd be fair to link them in with the blues or the blacks. I think they're their own thing, especially in terms of like fountain pen ink. We think of them as their own thing. And for me, it was an easy choice. Diamine once again coming through, and it's the Prussian blue. So once again, I just have a little 30 milliliter bottle of this, but I've used a good chunk of it, and when I get this one emptied, I will be buying a big bottle of Prussian blue just because it's a standard for me. Once again, go-to ink. I just keep coming back to it. It's a beautiful, sort of unique blue-black, I think. It has fantastic shading. Works great in every pen. Once again, it's super reliable. It's a Diamine. You're not going to go wrong with Diamine. But I'm going to start getting my swatches a little thinner. But you'll still be able to see what a great color that is. And we are getting down to it. I think we have 4 more inks to go. Diamine, Prussian blue. Just a nice, it's sort of a relaxing color for me. I just like using it. Next one, pink. A category that I don't use a whole lot. I've used a couple pinks. And I kind of just found one that I like, and so I stick to it. And for me, that is Kyo-iro. And the color name is Cherry Blossoms of Keage. And it's sort of like a dusty sort of pink color. It reminds me sort of cherry blossoms on a rainy day. Let me see if I can try to get this out without damaging the box. Too bad. Okay. And this is from the sort of Kyono Oto inks, and I think they're amazing inks. They're packaged lovely. They have very unique colors. I need to get some more of them because I've absolutely loved everything about this ink so far. So really solid, and I need to get some more. It's a shame, but I've really been trying to cut down on ink, so if I don't absolutely need it, I haven't been buying it. But this one, I need a good pink, and this one is a good pink. Like I said, it kind of reminds me of like I don't know. It's very usable for a pink. Once again, I need inks that I can use. It's just sort of like a rainy day cherry blossom tree pink. And I just love it. It's a good one. If I'm feeling that, you know, I use this one in the spring a lot. And you got the rain and the flowers blooming and stuff like that. So, really good one there. This one, I'll have fun with the name. Kyo-iro cherry blossom of Keage. All right. And then these last three categories are just sort of inks, not necessarily colors, but categories that I figured I should mention or include. The first one is the ambiguous category. And what I mean by that is inks that aren't easily classified as one color or the other. And it could be like, you know, brown greens, or it could be, you know, turquoises or teals or something that's kind of in between two other colors. And for me, one of my favorite inks of all time is this Colorverse Dark Energy. Maybe you can see it better there. And this is one of my favorite inks ever. So much so that it's one of the only bottles that I've finished a bottle of this ink. As you can see, there's the little bottle, because this one comes with a little bottle and a big bottle. And you can see I emptied that sucker. I finished it. So it's one of the two inks that I finished a bottle of. So we're going to have to go to the big bottle here. But once again, this is another brand that I just need to load up on a good variety of their inks, because I love this ink, and I've loved the Colorverse inks that I've tried. They make great colors. Their packaging is, you know, second to none. And this ink is outstanding. But the reason it's ambiguous is because for me, it sits perfectly in the middle of red and brown. And I really got this ink because I was looking for a dupe for Bungu Box Piano Mahogany, because I really like the color Piano Mahogany, but I wasn't about to spend $50 on whatever those tiny bottles are, 30 milliliters of ink. Just wasn't practical. And so this was my dupe that I found for it, which I found is pretty darn close. But it just turned into one of my favorite inks ever. Top 5, maybe top 3 favorite inks. But it goes down red and dries brown, has some sheening to it that we'll take a look at here. Works in every pen, really nice ink. Colorverse Dark Energy. And like I said, I just really need to find some room to get some more Colorverse inks in my collection here. Really small. Colorverse Dark Energy. All right. The next color category is Shimmer inks. Once again, don't have a lot of Shimmer inks. In fact, I only own personally one bottle of Shimmer inks. My wife has a good number of Shimmer inks. That's mainly sort of what she uses. But, and there's some good ones, but my favorite is Jacques Vert Atlantide. This is the one that I own. It's the only one that I've bought personally, but it's sort of this nice, I don't know, murky green color, maybe greenish, got some blue in there, and it has silver and gold shimmer in it. So I'm just going to shake that up to get it going and give you a swatch, because this one, I mean, I bought it as soon as it was announced pretty much, just because I loved the color and the concept of the ink so much. And it does not disappoint. It's still great. I still love using it. We'll just do a little swatch there. But it's a nice sort of dark green, but bluish green. It's sort of an interesting color, grayish green, if you want to call it that. And then the shimmer looks amazing. And I do have this one inked as well. I have it inked in this Pelican M200. So we have Jacques, Herbin, Vert, Atlantide. A little scribble, some hatches. There you go. And you'll see when that dries, it's a stunner as well. So my favorite shimmer ink, hands down, Jacques, Vert, Atlantide. And then the last category, as we have our shimmer inks, I've decided to go ahead and include a sheening ink category. I don't use sheening inks a whole lot, or at least not intentionally a whole lot, just because they tend to be more smeary, and I don't know. I hate smearing, so I just want something that will go down and dry and be okay. So I don't use a whole lot of shimmering inks, but the one that I do, or have used the most of and used the most of, is this. And it is a Scribo ink. One of the most underrated sort of ink lines, I think, is Scribo. They make quality inks. And this is Blue Cosmico, which is the other ink that I've actually written up completely a bottle of. I got this little 20 milliliter bottle of Blue Cosmico with a Scribo fill that I bought from them. And as you can see, it is emptied. And so it's my other bottle of ink that I've actually used. They're small bottles, but I still count them. But it's so good that I ended up buying the giant jam jar 90 milliliter bottle soon after using that bottle. So it's one that I've got the sample of, loved it so much that I bought the whole thing. And it comes in this sort of like box that holds it. The packaging is outstanding. And then here's the sort of jam jar of Blue Cosmico. It's actually a jam jar. Like I listened to a interview with one of the Scribo owners, and he said that's how he found these bottles. Is he was at a cafe and they had jam in these bottles, and they're stackable, so they're hollow on the bottom. So if you have a couple of them, you can actually stack them on top of each other. But they're actually jam jars. That's why they hold 90 milliliters of ink, or 3 ounces of ink, which is an absurd amount of ink, but I liked it so much that I bought it. And let's get a dip. Now this ink is very saturated, as you would expect from a sheener. It's a very dark blue, and it's got this bronzy gold sheen to it. I haven't used anything like it before, so it's unique for me. And it's just a great ink. It's really wet. It doesn't smear too bad. And I've used it in a lot of my pens in a lot of situations. Once again, another good sort of undercover work ink that you can use there. Put this package back together and get this last one labeled, and then we'll go back through the list really quick. But my sheening ink pick is Scribo Blue Cosmico, and it just looks like the night sky with that sheen. I like the concept of it. it works well. All right, so we have a lot of inks. Let's go back and review. Up at the top, we have our Sailor Black for our black ink pick. You can see it's pretty just black all the way across. Maybe a little bit of like black sheening when it goes down really, really heavy. But not often. This is, you know, Tomoe River paper after all. Gray ink, Iroshizuku Fuyu-Syogun. And it's that bluey sort of gray with great sort of shading and characteristics. You can see some of the shading and the writing I have down there. My favorite brown and one of my favorite inks of all time, Tobacco Sunburst. You can see how it goes from this sort of cigar-y, tobacco-y kind of color all the way to this yellow color. And that comes through in the writing. It's just a great shader. Great sort of antique-y looking brown for me. And I love that. Ambre de Birmanie from Herbin for my yellow, and you can see how that just brightens up, and it's close enough to yellow for me to include it there, but a nice lovely amber color that's still usable, still readable. Same thing with KWZ Grapefruit for my orange ink, just a flat orange, readable, but still has that lively pop of color off the page. Oxblood doing Oxblood things and being amazing for my red. There's Pansy, and you can see the sheen that I was talking about there, that sort of golden, leaning a little bit green sheen there. And it's coming, you can see it kind of coming down even into the less saturated one, so it's a good sheener as well, but a joy to use for a purple ink. Iroshizuku Asa-Gao is just vibrant as ever and dependable. You can see just that little bit of sheening that I talked about earlier. When it goes down heavy. Sailor Jentle Epinard has a little bit of bronzy sheen as well, but just a solid color all throughout. Not much in terms of shading or anything. Diamine Prussian Blue is just gorgeous as ever with that all that shading and just a really great color. Can't beat it in my opinion for blue-black. Kyo-iro, Cherry Blossoms of Keage, and it's just a nice dusty pink that you can see would be readable and usable. There's the dark energy, and you can see it went down red and it's dried to sort of in between red and brown. It's got that sheen, which makes it hard to see the color as well, but sort of like, I don't know, kind of like a black sheen or maybe slightly greenish sheen. You can see coming in there. One of my favorite inks ever, but that's the Ambiguous category winner. And then Shimmer, you can see that Jacques, Vert, Atlantide just shimmering away there. It is a great color. I got blue Cosmico on my finger, but I don't care. But you can see how it has some shading to it. No real sheen or anything, but that shimmer is amazing. But it's a great package. And then blue Cosmico, even though it's not all the way dry yet, but that sheen has gone all the way across the page, and it's a golden sort of, I don't know, bronzy sheen, I think, but it goes all the way across. It's a dark blue ink. It's amazing. It doesn't get enough credit or enough representation, but there we have it. Let me zoom out a little bit, or try to. That's as good as I can maybe get it. You can see my keyboard there. But there we have. There is my, it's sort of a longer video, but hopefully it was worth it. I swatched out a bunch of inks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 inks in different categories. Hope maybe you found something new to try or gave you some ideas on stuff to try. But anyways, those are my favorite fountain pen inks in each color and then each category down here. Let me know in the comments below sort of what some of your favorites are. If you have favorites, if you watched this video all the way through, congratulations. That's an achievement by itself. Leave a like and a subscribe if you enjoyed this video. It's a free way to support the channel and help me, encourage me to make more content, let you know when I release new content. And until next time, and for a shorter video, I'll see you guys later.